Hey, how's everybody doing? Everyone at home, everyone that's with us, I'm excited. Today's a great day. We're back with this lesson concerning coaching. I know as we're preparing for all of the holidays or vacation days and everything that people are going to be taking advantage of, I know some of you are saying to me, oh my God, Dr. Jackson, do you expect us to be in class? Absolutely. The only day that I'm going to give you off is next Thursday. And the only reason I'm going to give you off next Thursday, you know why. So tell God thank you for having next Thursday off. Let's jump into the lesson for today. And I got some homework assignments from some people, and so I'm thankful. Even some of the people that are here in our Jacksonville classroom, thank you so much for not being slowpokes and scoffers and all of the good stuff, that words I can use to describe you, for being lazy and lethargic. You have become committed, excited, and effective, and you're doing what you need to do. So I commend you. So let's look at today's lesson, putting together an effective coaching plan. One of the things that happens is when you're working with clients, oftentimes the struggle is putting together an effective plan. Because the plan is really what happens that makes it, you plan to succeed. He who fails to plan plans to fail. And so you have to work on an effective strategy. So this is really one of the nuts and bolts of the coaching experience, is planning with it. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to kind of engage in that. And, maybe a little longer, maybe shorter, I don't know. But I know that we got to deal with this stuff. And if you feel the need to ask questions, lift your hand. You can ask a question. Feel the need to send me one. I do have my iPad up so I can see your emails if they will come in. Shoot me one. If not, I have the little tool they give me, chat tool, for you to have that option out there. You can chat with me, and I can respond to you. So let me pull it out, make sure I've got it, the chat tool. I got the chat tool here. I got my handy cell phone here with the chat tool right here. So if you decide to send me a message, I will be able to get your message with the chat tool, and you can ask me all of those wonderful questions that somebody told you are dumb. They're not dumb. They're the questions that you need to know so that when you're dealing with people, you won't look dumb. Okay, so let's deal with it. What does a client want to achieve from this? And so this is one of the main questions that we ask. What does a client want to achieve from working with you? What's their goal? What do you want to accomplish from this? So I always ask the client. And so in putting together this plan, we need to be able to ask these questions, and this is what it should. We want to put together a questionnaire for that particular client. Asking you got to ask the right questions. I tell people why many people don't have successes because they don't ask the right questions. They ask questions, but they don't ask the right question. Like, it would have been nice to ask, does this car have a warranty, even though it was pretty and it looks good driving off the parking lot? And they say, hey, we have a 3-day warranty. After 3 days, you screwed. Would have been nice to ask that question instead of 2 months later saying, my transmission is not working. It fell out of the car. I'm just riding down the street, and all of a sudden the transmission just failed. Boom. And the car just stopped. It would have been nice to ask the warranty information in advance. Many times, as as individuals, we ask the wrong questions or don't ask the right questions at the right time. And so putting together a questionnaire, that's important, of some questions that the client can ask, and questions you can ask the client, like what do you want? What's your goal? What's your 5-year plan? Why do you want to start this business? What's your endeavor? What are you looking for? What do you expect from me? What's my expectation? How long do you think you should be going to coaching? If the person think the coach supposed to do it in the first session, it's good that you know that, or after 3 sessions. So now you're talking about this the 4th week, and they was like, okay, I'll be, we're gonna have to set our schedule for the next 5 weeks. And they was like, okay, and they don't call back no more. They said that coach was trying to beat me out of my money, because really you didn't ask the right questions. The assuming that a person understands, is one of the greatest things. What is common sense to you is not necessarily sense that's common to everyone. I'm gonna say that again. What is common sense to you is not sense that's common to everyone. And when working with people, many times we make the assumption that they know what we know, or they think the way we think. Can I be honest with you? If they thought the way you thought, they wouldn't need to come to you to help them think through where they're at. And that's one thing that you have to hold true to in working with people, and understand that articulation is the key to keeping bad demonstration. articulation, understanding, or them articulating to you what your perspective is and your perspective of communicating what your agenda is as it relates to their vision and goal and helping them get there. Putting together a client questionnaire, client's objectives. We want to work on what's the objective for that client. Where that client's trying to get. What's the objective? What are we going to make happen for this particular client? Many times in business, what we fail to do is we don't clearly know what the objective is. And when we don't have an objective, we all over the page. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, we're doing that, and we're not clear. Now, let me help you when you're not clear. When you're all over the page and you're not clear, mistakes are bound to happen. You chase too many rabbits, and then you're not effective, and then you get frustrated because the next stage of being ineffective, then there's no profit. Now, sometimes chasing rabbits is a deception because you are able to turn a little bit of a profit. You're able to do pretty good just chasing rabbits. So you're like, oh, I'm making money. But eventually, people get frustrated with your disorganization all over the page, and eventually they're like, you know what? I can't do this. My life's too busy. I got too many things going on my plate. I can't do this. And so, clear articulation. Oftentimes, this is what I tell people: concentrate on the root causes of weakness. We have to work on finding out what is the root cause of the weakness of the client. Why are they in the position they are? Let's get to the root cause. Let's hit the root. We start off. Now, get this: we may have to clear some soil in order to get to the root, but we've got to deal with the root cause. And so I like to deal with root causes of weaknesses, why people keep repeating certain patterns. Trust me, many people have already tried it before they came to you. You're not their solver. You're not their first choice. Many times they're the last choice. Now, I can tell how many thousands of dollars I could have saved someone if they had came to me first before they started a business idea. Many times what they do is they develop a business plan. They begin to go after a business idea without sitting with a coach or someone that has proven experience and understanding. Now, it's almost like trying to write a paper. Have you ever wrote a paper and then decided to edit it real quick after you wrote it? And then all of a sudden you turn it in and there's all these blunders in there because your mind facilitates things that you didn't write. It fills in the blank. Now, I'm dyslexic, and so sometimes when I'm writing, my mind will flip words and turn things around. Well, that's what happens with many of our endeavors. We leave a lot of holes out of our business plan, our model, our operandi, our modus operandi for our business. We know what it means. We understand what those terms mean. We know what we mean by quality service. What does quality service mean? The customer doesn't know what quality service is. Quality service to them may be that the customer is always right. You got a product, if the customer is always right, and you refund the customer, may bankrupt your business. So you gotta articulate. And so many people would have saved millions of dollars, thousands of dollars, if they had sat down with a business coach to be able to help them walk through looking at what their strengths and weaknesses are, and unapparent weaknesses. Some things are not apparent to people. You don't see the fact that this is not what you need to do. You're confused. You're lost. And so our goal is to help our clients understand what direction they need to take, where they need to go to make that business work. So we concentrate on root causes, finding out what is, and so not only do we work with root causes of weaknesses, but not just weaknesses for the client, but in an industry. Where other people have failed at. What is the thing that always causes businesses to fail in a specific area? Let's say they've got a daycare. Why are all daycares failing in this particular area when there's tons of children? There may be a very logical reason why daycares are failing in that area, and there's a neighborhood full of children. If you're in a neighborhood full of children and there is no infrastructure to maybe transport, maybe you're in a neighborhood where there was a child abduction or something, and people don't feel like walking their kids to that area. They feel unsafe, and so you have to be able to study, and we'll talk about that at a later time. Drill down to find out exactly why the client is not achieving his or her objective already. I oftentimes tell people we got to find out why you're not making your goal happen. Why are you repetitively in the same old scenario over and over again, repeating the same cycle? We have to figure out that. And so one of the things that I often do is we got to drill down. We got to figure out why we keep crashing and burning. Why, with our business endeavor, despite who we are, we keep crashing and burning? We got to stop crashing and burning. We must move to the place of success. And so we drill down and we figure out what are the things that create failure. Do you know failure can be an addictive thing? You just keep failing and you just keep it getting addicted. You say, well, I'm never addicted to failure. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over, it's insanity. People are addicted to insanity. They'll start a business, it runs well, they make a little bit of money, and then crash and burn. They start another one, it crash and burn. And the explanation is the market changed. Many times the market didn't change. Ready? The avenue in which you were marketing wore out, or it was bound for failure from the time you started, because the model that you elected to implement was not sustaining. We try to find sustaining models that will sustain for long periods of time. And so we want to take that look. Then we do this. This will indicate where they need the most help. So what we do is we take some time to look at the area that they'll need the most help, where they keep falling at, why they're not reaching the objective. Then I know where your problem is. I know what the number one area that you're struggling in. I know how we're missing the boat. Once we help you identify where you're missing it at, half of my session, if we can solve that. See, ready? Many times we have to understand the problem. When we understand the problem and we come up with a solution, 9 out of 10 of the objectives that we need to accomplish is already done. And so we do that. Once you got the root cause, nail it, and you can put it together, a coaching plan to overcome that will help the client achieve their goals. See, once you've got the root cause, once you've figured out what the real deal is, what is the problem with you? You know, I've worked with people, and you know, sometimes their personal life being out of sequence is the problem. Every business that ever went right, it was an ex-wife. You know, she needed vacations, and my wife was my secretary, and she was always taking money out of the business, and we folded. Or every business you started, you hired your family, and you folded. Get this, I got something for you. Maybe this time we don't need to hire your family. So we have to look at that. We want to look at why those things happen. We want to also make sure that we're doing good with Brother Cody. Okay. So as we're looking at tonight's lesson, you're good. 7 habits of effective people are what we're going to talk about for just a few minutes. I want to recommend this book. It's by Covey. This book by Covey is a phenomenal book. Let's see if we have any questions coming in. Yeah. Let's check. Let's see what do we have? What do we have going on here? Whether or not we have any questions going on. Anybody asking questions? I want to make sure that we are addressing all of the questions and that may be out there. Okay. All right. While he's out, I want to deal with this. Covey, I want to recommend his book. I am a 7 Habits of Effective People, highly effective people. I am a Covey person. I tell people all the time that Covey is the man. His books are phenomenal. Now, I'm a pastor, so of course I love Covey, because Covey does what I call slick preaching. It's nothing but Bible. He use proverbs, biblical principles, and he just don't give verse in scripture. It's laced with biblical principles. Everything about Covey. I'm in a business management class, and while in a business management class, I'm sitting in that class, and did we run the commercials? Okay, so I'm in a business management class, and while sitting in that business management class, I'm hearing all of these things and these verses. They were basic verses of scripture. I turned around, I was like, my teacher is saved. No, my teacher is just teaching Covey. And so Stephen Covey is a wonderful. Let's talk about begin with the end in mind. So we oftentimes say that whenever we start an endeavor, we begin with the end in mind. How we start thinking about the end. What are you trying to accomplish? We're not just trying to get the money right now. We're trying to build a long-lasting relationship in the end. So whatever endeavor I start, I think about where I'm going, not where I'm at. Sometimes we live in the place of where we at, that we failed the place of where we're going, and we plan to fail when we do not plan with the end in mind. Quick cash, making the dollar right then, making a hustle right now. We nailed it right then. Sometimes it's very short. Getting the customer money, poor customer service, never following up with them, never teaching them anything. That's horrible. Let's say I'm getting ready to do a business coaching session, a class with coaches, and one of the things that I'm going to spend dealing with information, kind of giving out information about coaching tactics. I'm going to share with people how to become a business coach, and or basically how to do their business. And then after giving them ideas of financing, economics, and going over all of these things I'm going to go over with them, then I'm going to give them an hour session. I'm going to sit down with them probably anywhere from 5 to 10 days later. And one of the reasons I do that is I let what they've covered, let them do as much research on what we went up covered. And when they run into a glass wall, then they're sitting there with me like, well, how does this work? And you went over this, and these are my questions. And then I can help them execute, walk through their plan. And you know what? What I found out is that people tend to be a whole lot more effective at what they're trying to accomplish in this method. And then, ready? I'm addressing what they don't know rather than them trying to do it themselves or coming at me with a million questions that they could simply have answered themselves. And then usually we record those sessions. I love to do them on Zoom or something like that, so they can record it, have it to work with, and begin to implement it. Define the final objective and work backwards from that. This is the key. You can let that stay up for just a few moments. I oftentimes tell people to define your final objective and work backwards from there. What does that mean? I must understand what's my final objective. You can go back to me. What's my final objective? When I'm ever doing anything, I find what I'm trying to accomplish and I work backwards. What it steps? Because ultimately, I'm working to this place. So instead of working to get to that place, I start from when it's the end and I work back. So, ready? The customer loves me and they keep buying stuff from me. So I work back all the way from them loving me to the point that they're not my customer. How do I make them my customer? I work the process flow all the way back. I'm not so concerned about the fact that they're my customer, because I know if I have the great product, they're going to be my customer and they're going to love the product and they're going to recommend it to their friend. But what do? My end game is they recommend it to their friend and their friend recommend it to them. If that's my end game, then my question in business is, what do I need to make happen before they get to that point? And then what makes them? And I back it all the way back up to how do I find that person as the customer to attract them to my product? And so I work backwards, not forward. Unsuccessful people work forward. They was like, I want to do this, then I want to do this, then I want to do this, then I want to do this. That sounds great. But ready? That means that the objective can get away from you. If my starting point is my objective, if I leave from the back end of my objective, guess what happened? I can never go wrong because I'm starting with my objective. And I'm working my way up to the place of what created the person of naturally coming in the door to become my fulfillment of my objective. This is important in business. Know where you're going. If you do not, ready, your planning will get out of control. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. That doesn't have anything to do with the objective. Sometimes we give customers stuff they don't even want. And ready, techies will throw this in. Oh, I'm gonna throw this in, I'm gonna throw this in. And then it makes the program slower. The objective is the person wants to be able to get in and get out, do what they need to do, and move on. They don't care about all of those bells and whistles and, I'm gonna put this in, I'm gonna let them be able to do that. They don't want that. Work from the objective. Work there and work back up. You have to think that way, and many times people don't think that way. Anticipate any roadblocks on the way of success. Please understand that roadblocks are bound to happen. You're going to have problems with technology. You're going to have problems with communication. They are going to be. We try to anticipate all of those. So what I do is I walk through not only with the client, but I have them to think, let's deal with some Q&A. What if things go wrong? How do we resolve them? If the product doesn't release, well, we're going to release our product on December the 25th on Christmas. So what happens if it don't release? What happens if it don't batch? What happens if it don't drop? What happens if it don't post? What happens if the marketing goes under? What happens if the World Wide Web goes down? What happens if we got COVID-20? I mean, what do you do if the world changes? What's your plan B? Now watch this now. I believe life is all about a plan A. Keep your A game and have multiple groups of A's. I don't think you need B's, C's, D's because there's a lack of faith in your A. But watch this. You need multiple levels of A. Everything is an A plan. If this A plan, you have to shift to another one. The mindset of a B plan is depressing to us, so many times it's condescending. The B is therefore stands next to the A. And so that means the B is not as good as the A. And so do you have as much drive towards the B as you did towards the A? So everything that you plan should be an A game, an A grade, an A project, A fix, A best, A good. It's going to be my A plan because guess what? A's are what I'm going for. B's is what I will settle for. C's is what I got. D's is what I'm upset with. And F's is what I cry over. And so I work my plan based upon setting nothing but plan A's in my life. But now I anticipate the fact that it's much planning that things will happen. You know Murphy's Law. What will go wrong will go wrong. Things happen. And so on the way to success, we have to anticipate that. So you got to keep plans flexible, tweak them as necessary. Now that's one of the hardest things to happen. So we have to have a plan. How are we going to tweak it? Stay flexible. What happens if the developer in the last stages of your project, you've already got it, drops dead? He wrote his code in German. You in the United States. All German. Now he spoke English, but you never knew when he was writing his code, he wrote it all in German because he typed in German. He learned how to develop in German. So all of his code is in German. So you tell a guy, hey, I'm 95% with my project, I want to just give it to you. He was like, yeah, it looks, the final product, what we see now, but we got one little problem. Everything's in German. The code is in German. I don't read German. So you got to find a German that can write at that level of sophistication of code. Oh, watch this. What happened to these Chinese? He's speaking Mandarin. And he wrote his code in Mandarin. So, things will happen in business. Keep your plans flexible. Be willing to tweak. I'm not going to say have a backup plan, but have ready an equal solution is what I like to say. We don't plan for backup plans. We plan for equal solutions. If this is a coaching plan for a team, you need to define a plan for each individual and work how that plan fits in the overall goal for the organization. So I sat down with a group of people and everybody fit a plan. We come up with a plan. This is your plan. This is your plan. Especially when I'm dealing with a group, an organization. This is your plan. This is your plan. We're all working. Now all of these plans have to fit for the organization. Okay? So you in charge, you in charge of greeting. You in charge of customer service. You're in charge of technical development. You're in charge of this. And so when we put the plan together, it betters the overall welfare of the organization when working with people. And so you kind of help people work through that because sometimes that's a difficult process for them to understand. Sometimes the plan fits with a whole. So so ready? It's like taking a class. in clusters at Phoenix. You may have one drag, one person that is, y'all got a project, a combined project, and they don't do nothing. It's like, see, what happened is my dog ate my assignment, grabbed my laptop, drug it all the way down, and I didn't realize something was wrapped around it and got in the pool, and my laptop got pulled. I didn't back it up on the cloud. I tried to take it to a computer store. They'd take the hard drive to save the hard drive, but they said, well, chlorine was in it. I couldn't back up the hard drive, so I didn't do the assignment, and I waited 5 minutes before it's time for class to start and to present to let you know this. And this happened all weekend long. Work closely with the individual and their line managers on a project. I oftentimes say when you're doing this, you work closely with that individual and the line manager, the people that are working the project. Especially as a coach, sometimes coaching will afford you the opportunity to be what I call a consultant, and you're working with them of implementation of a project. And so you will have to learn the art of delegation. Delegating each of them. Sometimes the plan is so big, the mission is so what you have to accomplish, you cannot give it to one person. I mean, a man tells you, he says, I want to turn my company around and I want us to be $1 million performer, and they're barely making $10,000 a day. That may not be a single person task. It may be a conglomerate task. He says, I mean, all of us got to work together to do this thing. It's going to take several of us pulling this thing off to make it happen. And everyone has a task. You got customer service. You got technical development. You got that. You have this. You the mailing room. You going to manage making sure they get their packages. Your job is this, and your job is that. Yours is technical support. Whatever it is, you do it. And so we work with the line managers, making sure. Not ready? I'm not working with the team per se as much as the line managers, because the managers manage a crew. So each group, I work with the person, because I don't want to macro. Watch this. I want to macro, not micro. Macro manage, not micro. I don't want to work with the people to the point that the manager loses his ability to communicate and articulate. So it was like, well, let's go to Z. Let Doug help you. So what is the manager there for after you're gone? So you don't want to take the power of the other person. This can be very complicated. So if you're just starting out, the best way is to concentrate on smaller projects. I tell people all the time, small projects are amazing. Small projects make big projects. I love it how my grandmother said. She said, pennies make nickels. Nickels make dimes. Dimes make quarters. Quarters make half dollars. Half dollars. That's not a half dollar. Is that a half dollar? Yeah. Quarters make half dollars. Half dollars make silver dollars. Silver dollars make dollars. Dollars make $5. $5 make $10. $10 make 20s. 20s make hundreds, and multiple hundreds make thousands of dollars. Everything builds upon itself. So with that in mindset, I have to operate from the standpoint that small projects should not always be hated. They're tedious sometimes. Small gives you time to work on detail. But so what we do is we develop mile markers. Now, if you've ever been driving on the highway, it says 44 miles to Jacksonville. I'll never forget when I'm driving and I was going to North Carolina and I was coming a long ways. I could not wait to get to Jacksonville. I left North Carolina. If I tell you it took me 2 days to get back from North Carolina to Jacksonville, I caught me a room twice on the trip. I was like, I'm gonna stop. I'm a 2-hour driver, so I'm good for about 2.5 hours, and I think the drive was 6.5 or 7 hours. And so it took me 2 days to get back from North Carolina. What? Yeah, yeah, I just couldn't. I'm not a driver. I got some people that are road warriors. It's the road and they believe in it. I'm not that. That's just not my thing. I took some time. We set mile markers to evaluate our accomplishments. What are we doing? How are we getting this? How are we making it happen? At what point? Because we have to evaluate where we're going. We do not aim endlessly in the dark without some kind of reflector of the light we're transmitting in the dark. We have to know what we're accomplishing. We have to measure the rate of our success by life markers. And so we put determination markers. These are interim goals that need to be obtained as you work towards the greater objective. So we said, by such and such, I'm going to hit such and such. I'm going to do such and such. I got a goal. I got a marker. I know where I'm trying to accomplish. By this such and such time, my business will be at this particular area. Now, by this time next year, my bank account should be sitting at such and such, such and such. Number anyway, got a problem with that. If you're not, that's why you need markers. Because if you don't do markers, by this time next year, your bank account will still be less than what it is now. So 3 months in, it should be here. 3 months in, it should be here. 3 months in, it should be here. So that in the 12th month, you are exactly where you need to be. These are markers. People that do not set markers to accomplish goals leave room for procrastination. When you don't set markers, there are no lines on the page at all. No countdown, no clock, no scale in the house. Just keep eating. Nothing to stop you, to guide you, direct you. I'm going to do it later. No, when is later? What time is later? What day you're going to do it? How soon are you going to implement it? By what time? If you don't do it, you'll find yourself procrastination. And guess what? Procrastination creates here's this word, stress. And then you're bugged out over it, trying to cram it to make it do what it does. And then you're mad with the world and blaming everyone else like it's their fault, when the truth of the matter is it was nobody's fault but yours, because you didn't set markers. And without markers, you know what markers do? Markers hold you accountable to you, but it also gives someone else the ability to evaluate you. And self-evaluation is rough, but external evaluation of your internal mechanisms can be a very humiliating, humbling, or competitive thing for you in your life. Setting achievements to these boosts confidence. It breaks the large tasks down to smaller tasks. Let me help you. I'm a breaker down of small tasks. Big tasks, make them small. So let's say I need $1,500 by the end of the day. You know what that means? That means I need 10 customers I can sell a product for $150 to. That's all I need. $1,500 is no money. $10,000. I need $10,000 for a project. So what is that? I need 100 people that I can sell a product for $100. That's it. Or I need 200 people I can sell a product for $50. Or I need 50 people ready that can buy my project for $200. You have to determine, you have to create what I call bite-sized portions to your goal. Many of us are frustrated concerning money because we see money too large. $1 million is nothing but 1,000 people giving you $1,000. That's all $1 million is. Calculator. That's all $1 million is. 1,000 people giving you $1,000. That's all $1 million. That's all $1 million is. 1,000 people. Money isn't hard. Doing stuff isn't hard. You have to make it bite-sized. Already? Or even better than that. 500 people giving you $2,000. excuse me, 500 people giving you $2,000, or breaking it down to now 10,000 people giving you $200. See, the problem is, one infomercial was something for $1.99. Money is not difficult. And why I use money is because that's one of the real big things that people, it's the main thing. But if you break everything in your life down, like I'm on my weight loss goal, so I'm scrolling. I gotta lose. My birthday's almost, January's here. By the end of January, I'm supposed to be at a certain weight limit. So I'm getting ready to go on an intense changing. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to celebrate Christmas in the terms of food, or I'm just going to be dieting during the time of Christmas because I have a goal to go. Now my marker is the end of January. My desired goal is by my birthday, which is January 6th. So that means I got less than 3 weeks. Yeah, almost 3 weeks. This, next week, following week, and following week, that's January 6th. So I got 3 weeks to drop 30 pounds to be at my goal. Yeah, 28 pounds. But so I have to determine whether or not I'm going to be that aggressive towards it. Now, my marker is the end of January. And so then I reach that marker, and then I have another marker by the end of March. And then I have another marker ready the end of the beginning of August. I was conservative. I started off with beginning of May. I said I was going to do it by May, so I have a little bit of a body for the summer. But but I set markers for myself, and so you have to set markers out and work out what resources, if any, will be needed. I try to figure out what I'm going to need to accomplish my goal. Can they be afforded? I set a time frame. Let me help you. Never do anything without setting a personal time frame. I'm going to say it one more time. Never do anything that you don't set a personal time frame. Work out how long you think it'll take to achieve the client's objective. I'm going to go over with you. Sir, what you're asking me is you're asking me to move the moon and the sun, and I cannot do that in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. It's important that you do that and set time frames and let people know realistic guidelines, because trust me, most of them will have unrealistic time expectations. And then sometimes people say they'll be so low on themselves. It was like, I come to you, but it's probably going to take me about a year. And it really shouldn't take them about 8 weeks, because they're the way they see themselves. I oftentimes set a time frame and then I double it. I understand how long it should be, and then I double that time frame. So if I said 8 weeks, it's going to be 16 weeks for we can make this thing happen. Because I look for Murphy's Law. I look for them not to do half of the things I tell them. I look for them to fail. I don't tell them that, but that's just what happens. People mean to do it, but they don't. Life happens. But they still are able to accomplish it. And they was like, man, I finished early. No, you should have been 8 weeks, but I told you 16. So because you finished in 12, and I be saying to myself, you still failed. But they accomplish. It builds morale, motivation, and if they finish early, they walk away saying, man, my coach told me 16 weeks, and we got there. He was working with me, and she was working with me, and next thing I know, man, I did this thing in 12 weeks. I'm supposed to have been 16. I finished it 4 weeks early. These things always take longer than you and the clients think. I wish I could say that things happen quick. They never happen within the time perspective that you want. Life is crazy that way. Have you intended on getting up early Saturday morning, gonna do da, and then you realize, okay, I gotta do this, and by the time you look, like Where's my time gone? Well, if that happens just on going to the cleaners to get your clothes from the cleaners and coming back home to cut the yard, imagine what happens in life when real obstacles come. And you know what's the funny thing about it is, the unfortunate reality is many of our pursuits of goals are intertied with other people. And you can manage your expectations, but you can't manage the demonstration of other people when your life is commingled with other people's directions and decisions. So because this is the case, you must plan for plans to have to be maneuvered. And when you finally get the plan together, the timeline together, we put the plan in action. What are we going to do first? How are we going to make this thing happen? How are we going to do what you've been wanting us to do? We've been waiting. We've been looking for this moment. Let's do it. Then the next, oftentimes say, get constant feedback along the way. We got to talk this thing out. What are we doing here? Why are we here? What's going on? Talk to me. Give me feedback. Why are we out here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What is the deal? Okay. And then, lastly, but these are three things. We tweak it as we go. So we put the plan in action when we finally make it. We get constant feedback. I mean, I'm talking with that. How you doing? How are we accomplishing? What are we accomplishing? You can leave it there. What are we accomplishing? What are we making happen? We need feedback from the client. I'm giving feedback to them. They're giving feedback to me. It's important for feedback to know whether you're penetrating and reaching the area. Now, I know this is a very gory decision, but if you're working out with someone and they just lifting and they're not making no noise and no sounds, it look like easy, they just smile and you're like, is that enough weights? Is that enough, man? It's like, I ain't put enough on there because I don't hear yeah, something at all. You cause ready. What determines how effective you are? I was getting ready to say something else. I changed it. I wanted to say something else, but I didn't want to get in trouble. Sounds determine, feedback determines how effective a thing is, and then we're willing to tweak it as we go, and be prepared to, not offended, not upset, because life is full of changes and anomalies, and we deal with those changes and those anomalies. I hope and I pray that this was a good class. I went over a lot of principles tonight, as we always do. Hopefully you are taking great notes, you're implementing them, and you're becoming better, not bitter. Listen to me. Putting together a master plan and helping them, you can't do it for the client. You got to do it with the client. Oftentimes say that you need client feedback in order to work on a master plan. One of the worst things I hated as a kid is my parents making plans for me without asking me. I wanted them to at least share with me some of the plans, because they had no idea of some of the thoughts I was thinking. So they need my feedback. And one of the worst things is to let people cause you to make plans without them giving feedback, because they're almost always gonna leave the plan because they didn't give feedback. Let people put their input in. All right. Well, homework never stops, but it is, because the holiday season is coming, I'm going to take a break from you all. But I will tell you this one thing: I need complete manuscripts in my office by January 1st. So you got enough time to do it. I need a complete manuscript in my office by January 1st. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless you real good.